Welcome to Across Africa, our weekly look at stories from across the continent. I'm Georgia Calvin-Smith, and this week, Burkinabé refugees have been trying to start new lives in Ivory Coast, and Islamist insurgency has forced thousands to flee. Also, the people's horse streaks to victory. Kommetdieding, a favourite for the 2022 Cape Town Met, delivers. As he should, with a name that rises to a challenge. It means bring it on, and so he did. And the first woman referee to take charge at the Africa Cup of Nations speaks to France 24 about her historic role. Salima Mukansanga says that she's very aware of what her achievement means to other sportswomen around the world. But first, Burkinabé refugees who fled jihadist violence have found shelter in neighbouring Ivory Coast. Driven out by deadly jihadist attacks, the last few months have seen more than 6,000 people leave the south of Burkina Faso. They've abandoned homes, crops, belongings, and are now facing the daunting task of starting from scratch. Laurent Berstecker tells us more.
A few makeshift tents lie on the outskirts of Tugbo village in northern Ivory Coast. They belong to refugees hailing from southern Burkina Faso, a region plagued by jihadist violence.
They arrived on motorbikes with their black flags. They told us how we should practice religion, what we could and could not do.
Driven out of their homes, these families sought refuge in neighboring Ivory Coast, just a few kilometers south. They say they feel safer on this side of the border, where the Ivorian army maintains a constant military presence.
Back home, we never saw the army, but when we arrived here, soldiers came to welcome us and to reassure us.
Most of these refugees left everything behind. They rely on aid from the Ivorian government and the United Nations to get by. But resources are scarce, and with few opportunities for employment, many are struggling to make ends meet.
We found a place to stay, but the problem is food. The money we brought with us has run out. We have nothing left.
Some 6,000 refugees have arrived in Tugbo over the past 6 months, highlighting Burkina Faso's failure to contain the ongoing security crisis. A crisis which the country's new military junta has vowed to tackle after overthrowing President Roch Kabore.
A community in South Africa's Eastern Cape has been granted a High Court order to stop the energy giant Shell from continuing a controversial offshore seismic survey. The government's appealing the ruling, saying that the project offers economic benefits, but the affected villagers argue that the environment and their way of life is too high a price to pay. Our team tells us more.
The Mpondo people have been farming on the east coast of South Africa for centuries. When a mining company started prospecting for titanium in 2007, their farmlands were destroyed. That's when Nonhle Mbutuma became the spokesperson for a committee representing 5 villages.
That was not an agreement with the community. We just go to them and push them out in our fields.
They've been in court battles to protect their ancestral land ever since. In 2018, a judge ruled that mining can't go ahead here without local consent.
The sea is not only the livelihood for us. Sea also is part of our spiritual place, our healing place, because our ancestors are residing in the ocean. In order to speak to our ancestors, we come here.
A month ago, this small community stopped Shell from looking for offshore gas reserves along this coast. The High Court ruled that the energy company failed to consult with the affected communities. Shell has been ordered to produce environmental authorization reports. Scientists have recently warned that offshore gas exploration causes real harm to marine life. This is what filmmaker and activist Janet Solomon found when she investigated whale beachings in 2016.
Science has shown that planktonic life gets completely wiped out in seismic survey. And also krill. 40% of krill gets wiped out. So it's from the small stuff all the way through to the big stuff as well.
The exploration is done through seismic surveying, the continuous blasting of towed air guns into the sea floor. Activists demand that South Africa stops all fossil fuel exploration to combat climate change. But the Petroleum Agency of South Africa says this can't happen overnight.
The import of gas, crude oil, as well as the refined product, is the single biggest contributor to our balance of payments. And the government has identified it as key that we start producing our own oil and gas.
This government-regulating body welcomes the opportunity to strengthen community consultation guidelines, but offshore gas exploration will continue along South Africa's coast.
A Malagasy skier who, at the last Winter Olympics, was the first woman to represent an African nation, is taking to the slopes once again. Mieli Tiana Clerk has a string of strong performances behind her and says that she is thrilled to be taking part in the Beijing Games.
It's a good luck charm of sorts, her jersey from the 2018 Winter Olympics, when she was the first woman to represent an African nation at the Winter Games. 4 years later, Mieli Tiana Clerk is ready to go.
I'm going to give it my all. I'm not putting pressure on myself. If I'm disappointed, it's not the end of the world.
A slalom and giant slalom skier, Mia trains near her home in the French Alps, and her dad's her coach.
I was very present in the beginning. Now I'm taking a step back. It's important for Mia to grow and develop herself.
Adopted as a baby, Mia's French parents had her on skis at 3. At 9, she was winning competitions, and now it's the Olympics again.
You say to yourself, she's come from so far away. She's going to the Olympics. She's representing her country. Sometimes it just jostles your thoughts. To us.
Mia is unlikely to medal in Beijing, but she says that that's okay. Already she's just one of 2 athletes representing Madagascar, and the only woman. So that and the goal of being in the top 40 is more than enough.
What matters for us now is getting negative COVID tests so we can take off.
That's what's most important.
Well, in one of the standout moments of the Africa Cup of Nations tournament, Rwandan referee Salima Mukansanga made AFCON's 65-year history when she became the first female ref to officiate a game. France 24's sports reporter James Fassiner sat down with Salima as she blew the whistle on her experience as a pioneer on Africa's biggest footballing stage.
The first step I made into the field, I feel the atmosphere. And then I saw the cloud, and I saw the teams, and they have been really respecting me. I saw people have been trusting me, and then I said, let me push away that fear and then make it possible. So from that moment, I start to say, I'm going to officiate like me, like Salma, like a woman. So I'm gonna do it, and then I know player, they will trust me because they have trust in me, and then CAF trust me, so I have to trust myself and trust my colleagues. We are going to make it. Yeah, so that fear disappear.
How do you feel about taking on this role?
This is an honor. It's a privilege. I'm going to encourage young women, especially young women. They're now looking at me, please wake up and then work hard. This is the moment. Today it's Salma, maybe tomorrow is going to be someone else. We are here to work hard to show men, hey, you know guys, we can deliver, we can be on the level you are. We can go inside the field of play and take decision and run according to our pace. You know, we can't run like men, we can't sprint like men, but we can show them that even if we are women, we can be on the level of officiating a game, taking decision, and being where we have to be at the same time, and then take decision and be in a proper moment, and then understanding what football needs and the demand of the game. Yeah.
And attendees of one of the glitziest events on the Cape Town horse racing scene witnessed the historic victory of local favourite Kommetdieding. The racer, known as the People's Horse, stepped further into the spotlight with his win at the 2022 Cape Town Met at Kenilworth Racecourse.
It's 7 a.m. in Cape Town and training starts early for the racehorses, but the star of this small suburban stable is Kommetdieding. He won the Durban in July. The racegoers are here to watch him just before the most prestigious Cape Town race of the year. His owner expects the world from him.
No, definitely it was a surprising horse, and never in a million years I think this horse will actually put me on the map one day.
Ashwin is a builder and bought Kommetdieding as his first fully owned racehorse 2 years ago for €2,500. Against all odds, the fall turned out to be exceptional. For Michelle, his trainer, his story is a real-life fairy tale.
He was bought for reasonably cheap money, and I think he's made people realize that dreams can come true.
A dream come true in any case for Ashwin, who has since invested in around 40 racehorses. Kommetdieding won him his first R1 million and the support of the community, who call it the people's horse.
They love him, and there's a lot of colored guys that actually came up to me and asked, how do they go about owning a racehorse?
Ashwin is proud to have entered the exclusive world of South African racing. Ahead of the big day, his number 5 was gamblers' favourite. Nevertheless, in the owner's private box, the atmosphere remained tense up until the end.
Get closer, linebacker, Kommetdieding, these two left to fight it out. Kommetdieding has now taken the lead. He's coming home best of all. Kommetdieding wins the bet. Kommetdieding wins the bet.
Ashwin dedicated his victory to his grandfather, whose passion for racing he inherited. His horse is now worth millions, but he says he'll never sell.
He said to me, can you remember those days when we were youngsters and we were standing downstairs here and the other people were all standing here on the balcony in the apartheid era? Gone are those days. It's our time now, so I'll never sell my horse. It's our time to stand there and the people look at us now.
2 years younger than his competitors, 4-year-old Kommetdieding is expected to have a magnificent career ahead of him.
Well, that's it for Across Africa for now. Thanks for joining us, and do so again if you can. Till then, take care.